I don't know if I'll ever be one of those guys that's comfortable filming inside of a thrift store, or at a swap meet, or face to face with people at a yard sale. I'm not knocking those that do, I just don't know if it's for me. It's not that I'm not comfortable in front of or behind a camera, or that I'm afraid to admit that I'm a reseller. It's just it really takes away from the most pleasurable parts of this job: treasure hunting and meeting new people. It goes without saying that when someone jams a camera in your face, you just really aren't yourself. And yes, I understand that I could wear a small GoPro or only film the inventory, but it's just weird to me. Maybe I'll try something a bit different in the future, or someday grow big enough to where someone can inconspicuously follow me around with a camera. Who knows? I'm not sure how my future here will go. I was getting pretty decent at making calls and researching stories and presenting high quality training to those who wanted it. But I'm not sure I want to do that anymore. And it's not that I don't think I could and possibly make enough money to do so, to offset the cost of money that I'd lose from reselling. It's just I'm not sure if it brings me the happiness I want in life. I don't want to be another burned out YouTuber who never makes videos anymore, and I'm not even saying I don't want to create educational videos anymore. I want to create content that I enjoy making as well as content people enjoy watching. Even as I write this script, as I edit this video together, I'm unsure if it's what I want to do or even how it's going to turn out. Life is hard, and finding your purpose in life can itself be your life's work. Maybe you struggle with this too. Moving from order to chaos is challenging. Leaving the things you know work so that you can take a risk on something that may not. We put ourselves in that spot often in life, going from one job to another, or leaving a partner, or moving out of state, or saying goodbye to friends or family. We all try and strive to be happy and have order to some degree, but very few of us know how to achieve it.
What's going on, Daryl? Well, how frozen is it? Is it a rock or what? Maybe leave that bad boy out in the sun for a minute, you know? I'm getting my listings done, and got more orders coming in, so that's the primary focus right now. Getting all that shit done. Yeah, for sure. Okay, brother.
I currently struggle with stopping what I am doing that I know works and pursuing something new. Am I continuing to do what I am doing now simply because it offers me security? Is that security the root of my happiness? Or do I actually enjoy doing what it is that I do? It's really hard to challenge your own existence, and even harder to find answers for your existence.
What? You don't need more food. You don't need more food.
Thrifting and selling has been one of the few things that has been a constant for me over the last few months. Life has taken some rather unexpected turns for me. Those of you who know me best know that things have regrettably not worked out with me and my partner, and the process of undoing all the tightly bound knots we had created was a long and challenging one. With the loss of her, I also lost the cats that I'd grown quite fond of, but as you can see, I have a new feline friend who enjoys coming around. His name is Tux Boy, or Tux, or his official owner would have him, Moose. I was actually very taken aback the day that a tag was added to him, and I called the owner and spoke with her, and she lives in the apartment complex behind my house, and she was very shocked to learn that he has friends up and down the street, and my house is not the only one that he comes into. But he does visit me every morning like clockwork, and he's very happy to see me, and it makes me very happy to see him. Every morning I start my day the same. I rise by 6 a.m. and come downstairs with a cup of coffee in my hand by 6:30. Yes, I have a Keurig in my room. I've always believed that if you want to be successful, you have to wake up at the same time other successful people wake. From there, I make a bargain feast. Even my food I buy in bulk and from discount stores in town. I am the epitome of $1 saved is $1 earned. Today's meal costs less than $1, possibly even less than 50 cents. I don't even have the time to run the math. 2 scrambled eggs and a sausage patty and 2 strips of bacon. You may have also detected earlier that I am reading a book based on how I was speaking. Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. He speaks at great length about order and chaos in our lives. He speaks about how consistency in your sleep and eating a meal that is full of fat every morning are both important elements to physical and psychological health and well-being. I strongly recommend you grab a used hardcover copy on eBay for only $10. So what are we doing here? What is this video about? Well, frankly, I'm unsure. Let's for now just call it a window into me, as well as what I do as a reseller. I know from the outside looking in, there's a lot of people who are curious, what does it actually mean to be a reseller? Like, what does your day by day look like? What does it really look like? Not that glossy, pretty, out in the field shopping and getting crazy big scores or, selling these huge items. What is an everyday reseller? What does it actually look like? Here we are in my office. I'm getting my inventory ready. This is a crucial step that any reseller experiences. Going through and pulling tags and inspecting goods, making sure things aren't covered in dust, doing any light repairs if needed. This is inventory prep. This is what happens after everything gets home. You might be wondering where we are. This is the opposite view of what you see from the Reseller Roundup show. This is all my inventory piled up on a desk, and there's multiple bins on the ground as well. I've said it before on air, and maybe you've heard me talk about it too, but I feel you should pile your inventory up around you. It should get very uncomfortable. When you realize that you're having difficulty getting other work done, it's probably a good cue to go ahead and stop what you're doing on the computer or whatever other projects you're doing and stop and do your photography and get prepared to do your listing. So it's a 3-stage process for me. Not counting the actual buying part, that's not really work. But getting the items inside and cleaning them. They need to be cleaned. Removing the tags, doing the repairs, doing the prep. This is the inventory prep phase. And as we transition from this phase into actually doing the photography, which is phase 2, we have to get the space ready. So here you can see I have my Favatech lights. I really like them. Please don't ask me how to get them. Do a little research, guys. They're out there. 5 bulbs per. And then we have an overhead top light. And then you'll see a folded up white backdrop in the background. This will become a photo station here within the next few minutes. I do also want to preface, I have a lot of pinup art. I have a lot of erotica art. It's something that I enjoy. I actually work with an artist in town here, and we run his prints off, and we sell them all around the world. There may be some of that in the background. Even right here from this shot, I can see a Victoria's Secret print that was originally hung inside one of their stores. It's beautifully matted and framed. It was stored in the garage and was just sitting there collecting dust, and I decided, well, I've got an open spot on the wall. I don't feel like mounting it, so I'm going to toss it there. And then there is another one underneath of my desk. I picked them up for $15 each, and I thought, why not? But you might notice art like that in the background, whether it be the bedroom, the garage, the office, just throughout the house. If you're easily offended by the female form, then I won't even apologize. I'll just suggest you find another video. The form is beautiful, and those of you who do like it, I really do hope you appreciate it. But if you have kiddos and you're worried about it, then I guess tell them to avert their eyes. With that disclaimer out of the way, I want to say this is a very long video. It is painfully long, and it's that way on purpose. The timestamp you are seeing in the bottom corner is indeed accurate. I don't want to continue to crank out garbage. I see a lot of that within this space, and that's not to knock any individual creator. I just don't want to make flavor of the week content. I want to make content you can come back to and watch again, or watch for the first time a year from now and still enjoy. If I haven't said so yet, please begin working. From this point in the video on, I not only want you to work, but I expect you to. Your time is valuable. Make double use of it. I will be working as well alongside you. I will share some stories along the way and some helpful tips here and there, but do not consume this video without work in front of you. Not sure what to do? Well, take some photos, research some new items, send your offers to buyers, order your free eBay supplies, order supplies from USPS, UPS, or FedEx. Get your full to-do list out, and if you have not made a master to-do list, do that first. Work on that project out back, inside the house, the one that requires a few hours. I am not here to steal your time. I am here to add value to your time. Tell me down below what you got done while we were hanging out, and if you enjoyed the video, let me know. Maybe it can be a once a month thing. Even come back when you're ready to work again if you want a refresher on what it is that I wish to share with you. The crinkle of that bag is a neat little story, honestly. I was hanging out in the room and Daniel came to me and he said, "Hey, they've got Adult Swim toys over at Carl's Jr. He might have even sent it to me in a message." And me being the reseller that I am, I took that data and assessed the market and realized, hey, I think we can make a few bucks. Now, oftentimes I will share these finds, but this one's somewhat regional. I mean, it's Carl's Jr. I guess it could be Hardee's as well, but sometimes the markets are really, really thin, and you kind of have to seize the opportunity that's in front of you. So we go down there and we take a peek at it all, and they've got these different toys. They've also got these cups that you get with the meals as well. And I've sold a few of the cups online. Man, I got to get some working out in. See that? That's another project I'm going to work on for 2022. Got to get fit. But we ended up selling a bunch of cups and a bunch of toys. And then we even did some end-of-life inventory work with a couple of the locations to procure the last of what they had at discount. And I actually have a sealed case of the toys here. And Daniel and I both have the actual shirts that the crew members wore. And they are brand new and they're worth, I don't know, somewhere in the area of about $150. If you haven't looked online yet, if you're not familiar with the graphics on them, they're really, really nice. They are definitely sought after by fans of Adult Swim. Now, as you can see here, though, we're getting that headlight down and into place, or top light, I don't know what you call it. But this is the setup process. Got to get everything ready. This is something that I have to do each and every time I'm getting ready to list. I am not one of those people that has the luxury of having tons of space to where I can have, a dedicated workstation that doesn't need to convert out into different things. It's like a transforming office. It's a studio, it's a photo station, inventory prep. I do a lot of my conference calls and other types of consulting and such from here. It's interesting. I'm sitting in it right now as I edit this video, as I do the voiceover for this section. So as you can see, I'm just getting everything set up. What's really great about that backdrop material I have, in case you're curious, it's a really high quality twill with a surged edge. Allows me to run it through a washing machine. So I can use it for a while if my inventory is a little bit dirty, and this happens. It gets a little dirty. You flip the thing over, use the other side, use the other end. You can get about 4 to 6 different positions out of it before you actually have to take it down and wash the dang thing off. So if you look through here, though, on the side of my desk, we have some of the essential things that I need. So I have a brush, because you're never going to get all the dust on the first pass. And then I also have a little bottle of Windex. Great job, Pass J, and gesturing with your hand. And then some baggies, because I work with some small items and sometimes they need to be bagged or they're going to get lost in a postal bin and then gone forever. And then this is the view that you get from inside when you're actually getting ready to take the photos. Now, I've actually got to work on this a bit because I'm not getting, great color contrast naturally when I take my pictures. They're actually coming out kind of dull. This is the other angle of the action. We have somewhere in the area of about 100, maybe 150 items or so to photograph today. This is another friendly reminder that if you have not begun working yet, it's been 15 minutes. It's time to start working. So get your work pulled out. There's going to be a lot more quiet downtime throughout the next couple hours. Yes, I said hours. So now's the time to start pulling stuff out. But I will be checking in with you probably more than I should, but in future videos it's going to be a little bit quieter. But for now, let's get going. Let's do it. Who's ready to work? You ready to work? Let's go. I tell you, I love those old Disney photo frames, the 3D frames. I've made so much money buying and selling those things. Must have gone through at least 15 or 20 of them now. But Disney items in general, they're always something that I enjoy working with. I never went to Disney as a kid. I know that was one of the things that, here in America anyways, that's kind of like a rite of passage. It's something that most families do, but I didn't see Disneyland for the first time until I was maybe 21 years old. And I remember, oh gosh, it was an interesting trip. I saw a few things for the first time ever. I remember looking back on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and seeing people doing things that they should not be doing on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride behind me. I also remember that I rode up with my now ex-fiance, believe it or not, and their friends. We went up with another couple and we stayed 2 days, 1 night, and one of them, the guy, was a little bit snivelly on the way up, and I was sick as a dog by the end of the first day, and I knew he gave it to me and the irresponsibility of it. But that was actually the place that I proposed to her too. It was back at the hotel room, and I was a young, dumb kid at the time. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and in the moment, I guess it made sense, because most things that most young boys do make sense. But as I get older and I reflect on it more, and I think we reflect on all our past relationships that way, I realize how dumb it was. But I guess at the time it brought me happiness and brought somebody else happiness, so it can't be that bad. You know, I was talking with somebody over at one of the casinos that I frequent here about how I understand now why younger women will date older men. And simply put, it's because young boys, young men, simply do not know all the things that they need to know to have a successful relationship. I would be happier if I had a child and she got to 18 years of age and she decided she wanted to date somebody who was in their late 30s, frankly. And I know what you're thinking, that seems radical and wild, but there's a very high likelihood that the guy that she dates when she's 20, 25, 30, even 35 probably won't work out with. It's no fault of her own. us men, we struggle to learn a lot of these things. There's not many places you can go, not many great outlets that teach about what it takes to be a real man within a real relationship. I mean, you don't learn it in school. I mean, the only thing that they teach you in sex ed is abstinence, and they horrify you by showing you images of STDs and try and scare you straight, but they don't actually take the time to teach you how to fall in love with somebody, how to have intimacy, how to make a relationship that's going to last, what it's like after dating, what it's like going into marriage. I see a lot of couples, they get that way. I frequent Reddit, and I see this at least once a month where a person will get married, and it's the moment that they finish getting married that they realize, wow, this is one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made in my life. And it just hits them right then. And there are defining moments within relationships. It can be the receiving of a promise ring or the bearing of a collar, even any number of things that could be defining big moments. Purchasing a first house, it's that goal that you put so much weight on further down the line. And then for some people, even men, I hear about this when they retire. They retire and they've accomplished that goal, and then they sit there and they just don't know what to do with themselves. They have no clue what to do. Everything's been accomplished as far as they know. I don't know. Sometimes we put more barriers up than we need to make sure that we don't complete things. I've heard of women doing that. They'll take a otherwise calm and smooth sailing relationship and they'll add complexity to it. And men will do it too. We all need purpose. Whether that purpose be good or bad, we need a reason to get up out of bed every morning and a reason to keep on keeping on. I just want to say, whatever project you're working on right now, I really hope you're crushing it. And that it's difficult to be self-employed. I think that a lot of us have experienced the same struggles with self-employment, whether you're brand new to this or whether you've been doing this for a while. They say that only 1% of people are actually capable of getting their job done without having clear direction, like round-the-clock direction. And I know that there's some people that have come to Patreon, whether now or in the past, who want that network. They want like the feeling of co-workers. They want the feeling like we're all in this together, we're all working on the same type of project, or just the sense that there's someone there that will hold them accountable. If they say, man, my death pile is getting out of control, that somebody will say, hey, get on it. You can do this. You got this. Let's go. Which is important. It's very important. So whatever your project you're working on, I just want to say, hey, Good on you for getting it going. And I really hope you see it through, regardless of how small or how big the project is. There isn't enough of that. And this isn't some pandery type statement. There isn't enough of that in society. Especially after you're 18 and you're out of school. For most of us, we're out of school. You know, we don't have the luxury of going to college, but let's just say 22. You know, there's not a whole lot of that good job, great job, keep it up, you can do it, we're so proud of you energy going on. You know, I've met a handful of women in my life that are very motivated by praise. And you're going to hear later in this video, you know, because I'm going back through right now and I'm actually re-listening. There was a different chunk of audio for this originally, and I didn't like that part of the audio. And I'm re-listening right now. And there's a bit at the end here where I go on for about 45 minutes and I just talk about relationships and human relationships and expectations. And it's just a non-stop cut. But for now, yeah, good job. And if you're not hearing it often enough and you want some people there for you that'll congratulate you on your wins, that'll champion your successes, then we're here for you. But I'm here for you. And hopefully those that are around you are there for you as well. But where this video is going, it's just really interesting. Because now I finished it and I'm coming back through and I'm listening to it again. And there's some really interesting stuff coming up. So I understand you might have a little bit of skepticism with the way the video started out. And you might be really unsure and you're like, Jay, I really don't know what I'm listening to, but I'm going to give this a shot. And I say thank you. It's going to get a little interesting down the line. Let's talk about this item here real quick, because I noticed throughout the video, I got onto these rambles and I didn't talk about the items at all. I've been buying a ton of Disney merchandise. And I know we just had a little Disney story a second ago, but I've been scooping it up like crazy. During COVID, during the pandemic, I realized that there was a lot of people who were going through and they were doing spring cleaning. So I ran a lot of targeted ads for categories that I know really well. And I know vinyl figures, and I know Disney, and I know the collectibles market as a whole really well. So I ran targeted ads to try and buy up as much of this as I possibly could. And I bought thousands of pieces. I'm not exaggerating. Thousands of pieces in preparation, because prices were going to be at an all-time low. And with money losing value just over time, purely through inflation, purely through buying power, or even if we look at the global market as a whole, the American dollar, yeah, we're losing some ground. So I thought, why not? Why not buy a whole bunch of commodities? And I'm actually even going to talk with you about why I am dialing back some of my listings on my high-end items. We're going to talk about that here in the future as well. Why there's a reason why items are sitting on the shelves and not getting listed. But for now, let's talk about these ads that I ran. Did them on Facebook and Craigslist, and not just in my town, but all over. And you can really target your ads where you want them to go, and you can decide whether or not you want to throw some money behind them. And you can decide if you want to create a brand presence for yourself, if you want to be known as the person who buys such and such item. And there's literally hundreds of categories you can do this with. You can do it with hogs, you can do it with marbles, you can do it with movie posters, you can do it with coins, you can do it with mischief drops, you can do it with anything. End of stock items for office supplies, whatever you want to do. You can run competitive ads on them, and you can find some really, really great stuff out there at some bargain prices. I remember the day that I got 20 Dymo 450 printers for $10 each, and they were brand new in the flipping box. Remember that? I didn't keep them all. I sold them to you guys. Sold them to patrons at cost. Such a great little deal for everyone who was involved. But yeah, run those ads, and you'll see a lot of Disney in this video. That's just the way it is. There's going to be some non-Disney stuff coming towards the end, some really, really neat stuff, and I've sold a good chunk of it. Some of the items that have been up here already on screen, I've already gone through and I've sold. From the beginning of this video to the end of this video, from that first shot where you see me with Tux Boy to today, it's probably been over a month. It's been a long time to be able to put this together. And it's not because the production took that long. The production from beginning to end on the video is about 40 hours. But just, you know, you have life. And 40 hours, yes, 40 hours is a lot of time to work on making a video that might not even get a couple hundred views. But there's a lot of stuff going on in life, and I'm going to talk with you about that later. If you want to hear some my deep philosophical thoughts on relationships in life, I promise you that the tail end of this video is going to have some really revealing stuff, and it's going to really be that deep dive into me. But there's also going to be some fun stuff splattered in there as well. So again, whatever project you're working on, great job. Keep it up, and don't lose that scene today. And we're going to go for about 2 hours total today, maybe a little bit longer, at least for the first half, and then we're going to take a break. And then we'll get back together and we'll continue onward with the process. You know, let's champion for each other. Let's get stronger together. Let's make this happen. So one of the things I said I wanted to talk with you guys about was Patreon. We're, what, I don't know, 40, 50 minutes into the video, so I guess it's only fair that I have a shameless plug. But we're going to talk about a few things during this video. You know, the YouTube climate's one of them, and I definitely want to talk about that later as far as ads, ad revenue, dislikes, the community as a whole. It's just real interesting. But I've been doing this thing with Patreon for maybe 4 or 5 years now, and when we were at our height and I was, you know, really cranking out those videos every week, doing regular content, I guess when life was calmer and more stable and maybe things in the future just seemed a little bit more certain, it was pretty easy, and the revenue was okay, making maybe $700 to $1,000 a month between Patreon and sponsors and ad deals. And since then, I think we're down under like $200 a month, but it's no fault of anyone else's but my own. You know, I've been struggling to try and find a way to create a model that would work for people, because the education model is always challenging, because you want to help people and you want to teach them and you want to give your time, but you only have so much of it to give. So you choose to do video content where you can help out a heck of a lot more people at one time. But you need to get compensated for that time. And I know some educators who will charge, you know, thousands of dollars for their course and offer truly no guaranteed results. But I went the direction of trying to make my information more accessible, to where anyone with a few dollars, or even somebody without a few dollars, could jump on in and get some one-on-one help if they needed it. But the problem is with this industry is once you get good, it's really difficult to want to continue to pay for any level of education. Because if you know 90% of the stuff you need to know, and you know the community might only be there for little things here and there, why do you keep paying? But we've had a handful of people that have stuck around for quite a long time. You know, we have some people that are guests within our community who, you know, we don't ask anything of them. They, you know, they contribute quite a bit, and or maybe they're not reselling full time anymore, but there's still a plethora of information, and we just are happy to have them. And then we have our actual patrons who are contributing monthly. But we used to have a whole bunch of people at the $50 a month tier, which included an hour of one-on-one discussion with me every month. And, you know, I've gone through and I've restructured things now. Now, as far as what the incentives are, I guess if you already know everything you need to know, you can say, hey, one of two things. I either really enjoy these videos you make. I think they're neat. I think you're neat. I think you're a cool guy, Jay. Jay the cool guy. And you can say, I just want to throw you a few bones because I don't know. Maybe what you do is harder than I actually think it is. Or I understand you're taking away from time you could be thrifting and reselling, so thanks. Here, this is Denny's steak dinners on me tonight. Thank you. Or you could say, hey, I like having a little community. I want to be a part of something, and I want to have people to hang out with and chat with. We have this thing called group chat. It's pretty neat. And you can help out that way. Or you can say, hey, I want access to more content or sooner content. But I'll put a link down below. It's below all my videos. But don't feel obligated to. You know, if you don't have the money or you don't like me that much, please don't. Please don't. Because I don't want to take money that you could be using to put into reselling. But if I'm making you money, and you're making a couple $100 extra every month, maybe throw me a bone. You know, I think our cheapest tier is maybe $5 or something. I'm not even sure anymore, but it's cheap. And you get some pretty cool perks. And I'm trying out some new things, and I'm trying to figure out what do I enjoy making. And maybe when I do, I'll make a lot more of it, and maybe you'll like it too, and you'll say, hey, this is kind of worth it now. But I made a commitment that on this next video, I was going to thank all of our active patrons right now. We got Andy and Joshua, Mr. Tobias, we got Rachel Bell, we got Michelle, we got Robert, Mr. Future Fortunes. I hope you're doing well, Robert. I know you've been going through some challenging times. I just want you to know that I've got you in my thoughts every day. We got Rob, we got Joel. Haven't heard from you in a while, Joel. Hope you're doing well. Pamela, who's been around, gosh, she might be one of the longest patrons now. 2018? Longer. Maybe she had an account switch, but I could have sworn she was back from 2016. We got Carolee. We got Miguel. Miguel is an absolute treasure trove of knowledge. I'll tell you, I might not be worth $15 a month. Miguel's worth $15 a month. Very sharp guy. And then we got Rachel Mealy. She's one of my oldest patrons as well. And I still hold her in very high regard and near to my heart. And I hope she's doing well as well. But check us out. The link will be down below the video. I hope your work is going well. I'll be back with you here in a bit. So earlier I talked to you about a book. It's Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. And I really do recommend you go pick up a copy. It's only $10, $12 hard copy on eBay. If you really have to have one today, you can go to Barnes & Noble, pay $26. And I can almost guarantee you your local library is going to have a copy. I called around for someone close to me in their town. They had a copy there. This book really does cover quite a few interesting things. Jordan Peterson, if you haven't actually taken the time to listen to some of the things he says, I'll link some of his content down below. He is one of the most prolific intellectuals of our century, and I really, truly hope to strive to be as sharp and as capable as he is someday in my life. That'd be amazing. But in chapter 1, the rule number 1, he talks about, I believe rule 1 is stand tall with your shoulders back, just a representation of how you should portray yourself to others, take pride in yourself. And he also goes greatly into detail on yin and yang, good and evil, chaos and order, men and woman, And the balance of those. You've all seen the yin yang symbol. You got the white side with the black circle and the black side with the white circle, representing that even on the good side, there's always going to be a little bit of evil, and even on the bad side, there's always going to be a little bit of good. Even the worst people. You meet somebody maybe on Skid Row, maybe they murdered somebody, but even that person, if they have a daughter, they might care about their daughter, or they might care about their mother. If they have a dog, they might care about that dog. And you might meet somebody who is the best person you've come across. Maybe somebody who's a pastor, and then they have that really vile, thing that pastors have been getting accused of over the last decade or so. So even the people who come across as the holiest of those can have that bit of bad in them. And he also goes into detail on order and chaos. And this is something I was touching on earlier, is that, I have a lot of order in my life. And I've worked really hard to be able to get to a place where I have that level of order in my life. But there's something about it where, as I get more comfortable, I feel like I'm losing a bit of that scrappiness to me. Like, I can be scrappy in business, but there's just something about, feeling like that strength that I have within me, that ability that I have within me, as it's not getting used, it feels like it's just getting weaker over time. And I have that little bit, that little smaller circle within my order that is a bit of chaos. I have a dash of chaos in my life. That's what I have. But I need more chaos. I've decided this. Something I've been thinking about for a while now. I don't know if you've ever been in that spot where you've desired a big move. You wanted to go someplace new. And it's so easy to sit back and come up with 100 reasons why you can't do it. And some of them are rational, they're human nature. Some of them might be things like just true fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of failure. Fear of losing things you currently know. It's rational. But it's something I need to do. I need to go try a new place again. And I've done this before, and I feel like I've had the most fun, and I've learned the most about myself. There's always something exhilarating and fresh and exciting about being in a new place for the first time, in a new town, or meeting new people. Everyone you meet is a brand new person. It's like when you have, it's like if you have Alzheimer's, you're making new friends every single day, right? So, I've been eyeballing this town. It's called Twin Falls, and it's in Idaho. And I know people in Idaho aren't very welcoming of Californians, but maybe I'll cover my plates or something as I cross the border. And they're not welcoming of us for good reason. You've seen the effect that Californians have had all over America, sadly. But I really like the place. They have a big outdoor community. They seem friendly, good income per capita, and they had really great housing prices. The housing prices were fantastic up until the pandemic came along. I'm going to talk about probably a little bit later about that carrot, but we'll save that for a little bit. But I need to introduce that chaos back into my life. So I'm really tempted to just do the drive out there. From here, it's about 12 hours from where I'm at. And I want to go out the door and, I don't know, maybe I'll take a tent with me. And it's not that, obviously I can sleep in my car, I could sleep in a hotel, I could get a B&B, but I don't know. Part of me wants to just throw a tent up someplace. A nice little wooded area. Bring some provisions for a few days. And just kind of find my way out there. We used to be nomads at one point. And, I remember still when I was younger, when I went on a trip bringing a paper map with me. I'm 36, but that was right before GPS was really a thing. You didn't, you either paid $300-400 for a GPS unit, or you had to bring a paper map with you. Those were the options at the time. And we were fine. You would go hundreds of miles away without a cell phone. You know, I know people now who can't walk to the corner store without having a phone in their pocket because what if something happens? And don't get me wrong, cell phones are fantastic technology. They offer a certain level of security. That's that order that I was talking about. But chaos can be exciting. I mean, I'm not saying go out and take crazy risk or put yourself into situations where things can happen. What I'm saying is put yourself in a position where you can utilize your scrappiness a little bit, and you can find your way around, and you can figure out things on your own, and I don't know, just break away from the order. So I want to go out there for, I don't know, maybe a week. I'm not sure what day I'll leave or when I'll come back. I want to go in the dead of winter. I've never really dealt with the snow. I've never driven through the snow, like real legitimate snow. I want to try that too. I want to figure that out. I don't know. I want to deal with, I've never been to the snow with it crushing and cracking underneath of my shoes. I just need to see more of life. And you know what's so sad? There's so many people like me that are in their mid-30s. God, mid-20s, late 20s. Just haven't experienced anything. You know, I've had a long life. Obviously 36 years of it. And I remember when times were really, really rough. Maybe I'll chat with you guys about that. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Those were some really, really hard years. Those years defined me and my character. But give it some thought. This little diddle's ending here, and I'm editing still. But I just, I keep coming back. I got, this is, you don't know it, but this is my 4th day working on this video because sometimes something just pops into my head and I just got to come back and talk to you about it. So this might be a 2-week project, but hopefully you enjoy some of my ramblings and they ain't putting you to sleep. Get back to work. The more time that passes and the more consideration I give to what I want to do with my future, the more I realize that there's some things I really love doing in life and some things I just kind of do. I know I've given updates as I've been making this video as far as what day it is, but today is, I think, day 6 now. And I know the last audio clip was just a few minutes ago, but, you know, some days I'm inspired to talk and some days I'm not. And some days I see things that make me want to chat and other days I don't. Maybe I'll do something where I spend more time talking and sharing my thoughts. I've met some real interesting people lately, and it's been really nice to share in deep discussions regarding life and people, motivations, love, all sorts of deep topics. Most mornings I find myself perusing the Reddits. It's just a way to start the day. And I see all kinds of interesting posts, and there's ones that really grab me. And I hear people just letting it out on full display. Just emotionally vomiting in text form on Reddit. And there was a post that really grabbed my attention. I want to share it with you today. And I want to share with you my thoughts on it. It's under r-dating and said, getting tired of being the one to hit up, plan, and pay for every date as a man. This is already a handful. I mean, I could talk for 20 minutes on that title alone. And it has the tag, I need advice. It says, as a guy in his mid-20s for the first... Excuse me. It says, as a guy in his mid-20s who for the first time just started to actually try to find a girl who's a good match for me, I've been disappointed overall by how the vast majority of women just wait for me to put in all the work and ask them on dates, do all the planning, and pay for the whole night. Luckily, I am financially independent with money to spare, but it gets annoying pretty quick spending $100 on a date night with a girl just to get ghosted after. At what point should I be expecting women to at least pay their half of their bill or offer to input for date ideas? Why am I always the only one who comes out? The only one who bothers to even look at the check or bill when it comes? Even with girls that we make it to the third date with seem to assume I do all the work. Every date I go on, I feel more and more like I'm being used, that I'm valued only because I'm somewhat attractive and can pay for everything. I'm only a few months into dating and I'm already tired of having to put in 100% of the effort to plan, pay, or initiate any flirtation. Might just stay single at this rate. Maybe it's why hookup culture exists, because men realize the effort they put in amounts to nothing. Do other guys experience something similar? Where's the equality? This is a tricky one to digest. There's a lot going on here. There's a whole lot going on here. And I commented with the OP, and I even had an opportunity to speak with him privately. I told him, you know, I don't think you're being used per se, but you are certainly allowing yourself to be used. I don't think anyone's going out of their way saying, I'm going to take advantage of this guy. He seems like a nice guy who has money, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get him for that $100 meal because I know he's going to pay for it. But I certainly think that you're going after women who have the potential to see your softness and see your generosity, and you're probably putting it out there, and you may even be putting it out there as a key thing to attract these women. You know, you have to ask yourself, what are you peacocking with? What are you showing off that is bringing this in? So I talked with him about a few things. You know, one, what are you putting out there? Are you putting out the idea that you're the kind of guy that pays for lavish meals and experiences? That you have the means to do so and the willingness to do so? Because, I mean, if a woman came to me and said, you know, I'll be happy to buy you a $100 meal. Yeah, I'll take you to the nicest place in town. Yeah, I'll take you out afterwards and we'll buy you some new clothes. I mean, it'd be really hard for me to say no. I mean, if she's a potential candidate, I wouldn't even feel bad about it, right? I mean, who am I to turn down someone's generosity? Even in the way it's being laid out here for Reddit. I'm a man of means, knowing that I can quickly spend $100 and then not get hurt back from again. Why am I always the one? I'll be honest with you. I understand wanting to be generous. I understand wanting to show that you're capable. Putting that best foot forward. No one wants to see you order the cheapest thing on the menu and then give them that look when the bill comes. It's always a more confident and power move to flip your card in there without even looking at the cost. I can testify to doing this many times in my life. But the reason why I'll do it is because I've taken the time to pre-qualify the person. This is important in sales too. This is important in business. You're working with a client who's looking to do a large buy or a large sale with you. You don't want to start counting those eggs before they hatch. You need to pre-qualify them. You need to see if this is something that's actually going to work out. And I see a lot of men, well, let me clarify. I see a lot of boys get very, very excited about the prospect of going out. And they, with reckless abandon, will forget everything that they know. Or, frankly, they don't know. They don't take the time to qualify the person to even see if they'd be a good potential partner for what they're looking for. Now, whether they're looking for casual sex, whether they're looking for somebody to date, maybe they don't want something too serious, but they'd like to go out on some dates. And maybe they're looking for a husband or wife. People don't take the time to qualify. Why am I going to spend 100 of my hard-earned dollars on somebody if they don't have the same values that I do? What if they're not even a good person? I mean, this is the baseline expectation, I suppose. That they have to be somebody that you would enjoy spending time with. I told him that any woman that I've gone out on a date with, a first date with, would be thrilled to go to the park with me. To go play around the tennis, to go putz around the mall, to go to a hole-in-the-wall antique store downtown, go for a hike on a trail, go to a museum, a kid's museum even, and look at the dinosaur exhibits. A picnic with food that I lovingly made myself and brought a nice blanket and picked out a great location. A little photo shoot of the two of us looking cute together and going on some type of adventure. You want to be frugal and you want to have fun? Set up a little scavenger experience. You want to spend money and you want to make it count? Get something thoughtful. Flowers are borderline cliche at this point, but you should know somebody before you go on a date with them. You're committing your time, energy, and effort to them. The energy and effort, meaningless. The time, though, that's our most valuable commodity. I mean, we have one pass in life. This whole thing is about getting value out of time. Even with this video, I told you, you should be working right now. Get some value out of your time. But the time is the gift in that experience. It's not the money you're spending. And if you think it's the money, and if the money is the only way that you can get the date, then you've done something wrong. Have some more phone calls. Send some more messages. Do a video call or two. Act like this person lives 500 miles away, and it's going to be a lot of work to be able to connect with them. Ask yourself this. Would you drive 250 miles to meet this person? Would you meet them halfway on a 500-mile journey? If the answer is no, then you probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't even go 5 minutes down the street to meet them. Because if you have this feeling that it's not going to amount to anything, then why? Why give up your time? You only have so much of it. You either give it to yourself or you give it to others around you. Friends, family, shit, even your exes. You only have so much of it. So if you're not going to give it to, or if you're going to give it to somebody that is not worth giving it to, you not only are you doing a disservice to yourself, you're doing a disservice to anyone else that could take that time. You know, we don't spend enough time doing nice things for ourselves. We especially don't do enough for those of us around us. I mean, how many of us here can honestly say that we've made meaningful efforts to reach out to those who are within our lives on a regular basis? Not just waiting for them to text first, or waiting for a birthday reminder to show up, or for them to mention some event that they're going to do. If you only have so much time and you throw it away on worthless candidates, and I know some of you do, those of you who are single, and you know, maybe those of you who aren't single, maybe this will resonate on a friend level. Maybe you have really shit friends in your life and you're unable to get rid of them because you've equated tenure for quality. You believe that the longer they've been there, the more they're worth. Alternatively, I know people who go out on, you won't believe this, hundreds of dates and have yet to find somebody that they would really be proud to take back home to mom, take back home to dad. But they'll prioritize that encounter with somebody that they've met 5 days ago online, who they'll be seeing for the first time this coming weekend. They'll put the emphasis on that, the importance on that, the value on that, before a friend they've known for a decade. You know, there's a certain level of addiction, I suppose, that can come with that. So if you wouldn't be willing to make the effort to go meet the person halfway on a 500-mile journey, then ask yourself, is it really worth it? You know, you have to get to that place where you get excited. Some people become so jaded in the world of dating that they lose that excitement. The guy who wrote this post clearly is lost, or is losing his excitement. He's losing it quickly. He's getting tired of it, but it's because he's doing it wrong. I mean, let's say you had to mop up a bathroom. It's dirty, it's dingy, you don't really want to do it, but you know, it's got to get done. And you pull out a bottle of rubbing alcohol and some Q-tips to knock out the project. It doesn't make any sense at all, does it? It's not the right way to do it. It's going to take forever if you go at this approach. Will you get the same results? Yeah, possibly at the end. I'll tell you, you'll get to the other side of the bathroom, and by the time you get there, the first half is going to be dirty again, and it's going to become a vicious cycle. You'll never catch up with it. If you have to do that persistently for the rest of your life, then you'll be stuck in this cycle where it never gets better. You never improve. So how do we break that cycle? We at some point have to decide that there has to be a better way. Now, the challenge of self-improvement is a tricky one, because you've heard the saying before that somebody can't change until they've made the decision themselves that they're ready to change. And that problem is doubly compounded when it comes to dating, because we now live in a society where it's almost a faux pas to tell somebody that the date didn't work with why it didn't work. We're encouraged to say nothing and to do nothing and just be the bigger person and keep it to yourself. No! Because we are really bad at looking introspectively and judging ourselves the same way that we judge other people. So when we go on these experiences, we should judge. I'm not saying judge harshly, but I'm saying be open and honest. If something didn't work with you for a partner, tell them why. It's an opportunity for them to improve. Now, this same level of critique and judgment should also be cast among your friends, your peers. They should also know why maybe you don't want to be their friend anymore, or maybe why you don't value them the same way anymore. Maybe they're the things that they did initially to qualify you as a friend, they're no longer doing. Maybe your expectations of what a friend is, they no longer meet those new expectations. People change over time. Going all the way back to this individual, he's found himself stuck in a place where he doesn't know what he is doing wrong, and no one's going to tell him. And he's probably not willing to take that dive inward and look at himself and say, hey, is it me that's the problem? Right now, he's the victim in this situation. People are taking advantage of him from his perspective. People are using him for his money, using him for his free meal, have no real interest in him. He's having to do all the work. He's having to be the flirt. He's not getting any reciprocity. He's not getting anything out of this equation. Used. Woe is me. I am the victim. But he has to change that mentality. He has to look inward. It's no different than with an alcoholic. Well, if I don't drink, I'm not going to feel okay. If I don't drink, I'm not myself. People treat me differently when I'm sober. They'll find ways to be the victim. I only drink because it helps me get over my father. It helps me deal with life. It helps me cope. It makes it easier to socialize with other people. It allows me to be myself. It keeps me from having to feel like I have to take meds all the time. People will find any way to twist the narrative to be the victim. And it starts subtly, just like with this gentleman. He's the victim. He has been wronged. He has been wronged by women. He's been wronged by society. He has been wronged by the institution that is relationships. So if no one tells him anything, I don't see him waking up one day and having some grand epiphany, rolling over in bed, stretching out, ripping the covers off and saying, you know what? I'm my own worst enemy and I need to change today. It doesn't happen. Not without the grand intervention of some huge external factor, albeit a horrible one most likely, a crisis event that makes people perceive things differently. Rarely does that come of a positive event. But if he does get told, or he somehow realizes, or something that maybe he reads or sees or consumes starts making him think a little differently. Maybe if a seed is planted. We have this notion often with people that if we say something to them the right way, that maybe we can get them to see our ideology. That maybe that if a question is presented opposed to a strong viewpoint, we can pique the curiosity within someone else's mind. The question I would ask him would be, do you feel that there's anything that someone else could do in this situation to achieve different results? What would that person do? What would they change? And really force them to think about the situation critically. Not just give them the clear answer, the straightforward, don't spend the money. Well, why not? What do people who have success within dating, what do they do? And really make them kind of digest the situation a bit. I have a friend, he'll never watch any of my content. So I don't think he's ever watched one video I've made, and he's known me for probably going on a decade now. And he's been struggling with dating for 4 or 5 years now. And he was dating somebody that was maybe 25 or 30 years younger than him recently. Few dates, and came back with all these reasons why he was upset and why it wasn't going to work out and why he felt like she was the dumb one for not listening to him, and all honesty, trying to change a woman. I'm 36 and I've come to the realization already there's no changing a woman. You can give her guiding light and support and You can offer her what's best and share your knowledge, but it really is the child in the stove. The kid has to burn himself before he realizes, and women are that way with a lot of things. They're stubborn. They're stubborn creatures. So are men, though. Men are very stubborn creatures, too. But I think men will add a layer of logic to situations, and not to say that women are illogical creatures, but men are predominantly logical and women are predominantly emotional. So I went to my friend and I said, what do you feel that a woman that you would want to be your partner would be looking for in a partner? It's a very, very complex question, but also very, very simple. I guess it boils down to interpretation. He says, what isn't there to like? I'm single. I have no kids. I own my own home. I own my own business. I make great money. I'm good looking. I work out. I said, buddy, that's not what I asked you. Because if you're only a culmination of your own personal strengths and nothing else, okay, and you have a clear definition of who you are, that doesn't change that you still may be lacking the core things that a female partner would be looking for. Specifically one who is 20 or 30 years younger than you. So I asked him again, what is it that you feel a woman of that age would be looking for? Like what is important to her as a partner? Because your ability to provide things for a female is not exclusive to you. There's nothing inherently special about having a car, having a house, having an income, and being attractive. That's very much so in supply. There's plenty of that out there. There's plenty, and the opposite's true too. I could find a woman with no ex-husband, no kids, who's attractive and makes her own income. That's not a difficult thing to find. But it boils down to the details. What is important to her? You either possess those things or you do not. If you possess those things, there's going to be no debate. There's going to be no argument. You're going to have what she's looking for and things are going to work out great. But the fact you don't possess those things is what's putting you in a position where you feel you need to fight so hard to be able to try and make it work. You're trying to complete a puzzle and you only got 2 corners. Okay? And you can have an idea of what the whole picture is going to look like. You have enough pieces there to kind of get a semblance of what it's going to be, but you don't have the whole picture. You know, a woman who's 25 who's dating somebody who's 30, that already tells me there's something that's a little bit off with her. Not to say that a relationship can't be successful, but I would want to know first the motivation she has to be dating someone twice her age. And again, if your partner is twice your age and it's worked out, then kudos to you. But generally, you want to understand the psychology of what would drive somebody to do that. And alternatively, you would also want to judge the psychology of a 50-year-old man who would be interested in a 25-year-old woman. It goes both directions. It's complex. My perception is, this woman's interested in having a child. Is he capable of producing a child with her? Does he have a desire to produce a child with her? This woman wanted to live the Beverly Hills lifestyle as well. Specifically, in that zip code, going out and having brunch on Sundays, spending money, no savings account, leasing a car instead of renting, or leasing a car instead of buying a car. All the telltale signs of immaturity and fiscal irresponsibility. So you would say, well, what would drive him to be, interested in her. Like, why would he even try? Well, when you've gone tirelessly for years on end and no one has stopped you and said, hey, yo, fuck up, stop it. You're not doing this right. Listen to me when I tell you you're making fundamental mistakes. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, Jay, didn't you say you were his friend? Jay, didn't you advocate for speaking your mind and being the arbiter of harsh information that can be the betterment of those around you, those you hold closest and dearest to you? You want the best for those that you care for so much? Oh, yeah, I do. And I have told him countless times. He says, Jay, you don't understand. It's different when you're my age. And the desperation it's painfully clear in his voice. He's afraid of dying alone. He's afraid of having no one as he gets older. And sure, it's a very real fear, but at 50-something, I mean, he's got plenty of time on the ticker. But he won't come to grips with a harsh reality that it's partly him that's the problem. Sure, he's picking bad women, bad candidates, but there's a large portion of it that's him that needs to be worked on. That's him that has the issue. And I've tried talking with him. I sent him a message the other day. And I said, if you want to have a talk about what it means to be a man, if you want to have a talk about making fundamental changes and working on ourselves, not just you, but working on ourselves to be better, I'm ready and happy to have those talks with you. My line is always open. I'll drive out there and I'll come see you, no problem. And I've been turned down 3 or 4 times. And what do you do in that situation? What do you do with the person who is absolutely rejecting your help? Because at a certain point, you just can't continue to sit back and watch them fail. I got into an argument with a friend recently. We had a very strong difference of opinions. And I even have a hard time calling it an opinion. Just in the sense that I think that there's certain things that a majority of people can agree upon as being true. But technically, it is an opinion. But if enough people believe it, it almost becomes fact. And I guess the stem that really brought on all of this was that we had a disagreement on process, on how to deal with speaking to your friends to deal with the problems that they're having. It's kind of crazy how this all ties back. It's a completely different friend too. And the end point of my argument was that if you have a friend who is a raging alcoholic, they've been in and out of rehab 3 or 4 times, and they're losing everything. They're losing their life. It's slipping away from them faster than you can imagine. When do you take that action, that final action, where you walk up to him, you grab the bottle out of their hand, you slam it on the ground, you knock them to the ground, you say, hey, listen, we're not going to put up with this shit anymore. Okay? You need to get your shit together, and it needs to start right now. Your argument was that you don't. Your argument was that people will change, that if they want to change, they have to change on their own, and that it's best just to offer them support and comfort. And I even have a hard time just saying that with a straight face. It makes me angry. Anyone who has lost anyone due to alcohol knows exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, I mean, it's so hard for me to really explain it in a meaningful way. If you haven't lost somebody to alcohol, you haven't experienced the death of a living friend. I had a friend, his name was Cody. We share the same birthday. We, same birth year and everything, and we went to school together. Went to Herbert Hoover High in beautiful Fresno, California. And I must have met him as a freshman, so back in 1999. And I really liked the guy. You know, I came from a place of extreme poverty, but he even rivaled my upbringing in the most challenging of ways. His parents were alcoholics. It's not a question of where it came from. You know, we learn so much from our parents, both good and bad. It's really easy to see that parents who abuse make children who abuse, and so on and so forth, until that cycle gets broken somewhere through society shaping someone to be inherently good, and then they break that cycle. So it wasn't a shock to me that he became an alcoholic. You know, my youthful self couldn't really wrap my head around exactly what that was at the time. I still remember all the ambition he had. And I mean, we all saw the turning point. We all saw the moment where it went from, you know, he's having fun and that's just how he is, and he's just letting loose a little bit, to the first time he got locked up. He didn't always act this way. I think he was maybe 16 years old at the time, and he blacked out while taking a bath and almost died. He went to the hospital and they realized he had a bad heart. This was before he even started drinking. And as a young adult, he spoke of wanting to join the military, and that was going to be his way to a better life, his way to a new future, to get away from Fresno, the valley, the depressing, life-sucking hellhole that it is, to get away from his family. I mean, talk about being served seconds. And then that happened, and he was no longer eligible to join the army. I mean, what is it like? I mean, is it the same level of equivalency when you've been married to somebody for 20 years and they want to see other people? I mean, such a drastic change to have everything you've ever wanted kind of get ripped out from underneath of you. Your plan, your purpose. And he's a American loving individual, as strong as they ever came. He was devastated, but, you know, we were young men. We didn't really know how to talk or deal with that, and there wasn't resources available, and if they were, let's be frank, he probably wouldn't have used them. But none of us were equipped to deal with those types of situations. You know, the lack of community, which is something I'll talk about here in the future, I'm sure, is probably one of the most devastating things to happen in the last 40 years. The advent of cell phones literally destroyed community. But he went from a young, excited individual ready to take on the world to meeting a woman who was horrible for him, and drinking and drinking and drinking. And we would hang out with him, and we always thought it was fine. Yeah, sometimes he'd black out or he'd pass out and throw up all over the place. But some friends were more tolerant of that than others. I wasn't very tolerant of it, but there's other friends who were. And then he got into a fight with his girlfriend, which he had a kid with, and then subsequently later in life another, and possibly even a third. But he lit her clothes on fire, and her being the conniving tool that she is, which, I mean, I can go into detail if you want part 2 of this tale later, let me know, called the cops and pressed the charges, the arson charges against him, which got him 30 days in jail and put on probation, and he got out, and And of course, he drank more to deal with the trauma that he experienced. 30 days in prison is a very, very traumatic thing for someone at the age of 20. And it wasn't long before he got caught again and tossed in the drunk tank, and the cycle continued to repeat. And we would come in and out of his life and say, like, hey, you can do this, you've got this, and he would go silently drink after he'd leave our company. And we'd get him jobs, and we'd buy him clothes, and we'd offer him housing, and he went to AA, completed the whole program, and he would just relapse again. And I know some of you are saying, well, that's just the addict's mind, and that's right. Addicts are psychologically built different. It's just something about them. They just don't operate the same way that we do. Just saying stop is not good enough. My friend lives under a bridge now. He's not even my friend. My former friend lives under a bridge now, with a tent. And I don't even know how I would find him if I wanted to at this point, which I don't. Whose fault is it, though? Is it his parents, the upbringing? Is it the genetics of his body? Is it the restraints of the U.S. military? Is it the manufacturers of the alcohol? Is it his conniving ex? How much of it is him? How much of it is his friends? The ones that didn't smack the bottle out of his hand and say, stop. Enough is enough. It's very challenging. So I got into an argument with a friend. And her argument was that you should never do that. You should only have sympathy and care and offer therapy. And you should never be aggressive about solving a problem. You should never be aggressive with the person about getting your point across. If somebody is doing something that's damaging to them, let's say you have a friend who enjoys eating rocks. They say, oh, no, I only have a few pebbles a day. It's not like I'm a rock addict or anything. Just a couple of pebbles here and there. And you think, well, maybe it's probably a little bit more than that, but you give them the benefit of the doubt. What do? Do you smack the pebbles out of their hand when you see them with them? Say, don't eat those pebbles. I mean, you could equate it to cigarettes too, whatever you want to. People walk over and snap your cigarette, because they have what's best for you in mind. It's clearly what's best. That's the difficult thing. This isn't some suggestatory thing where, it might be the best thing. Like I was saying before, we know pattern drinking is bad. It's bad for your body. It's bad for your mind. It causes permanent damage in both. It's bad for the relationships of those around you. But when do we say, hey, enough is enough, and we actually take serious action? Because we know it's bad. Now, if it's subjectively bad, maybe somebody has an addiction to chocolate and they pick up 5 or 10 pounds and they just stay that way forever. It's not really causing harm, so to speak, in the same way that alcohol or pebbles might. What if somebody's doing something socially wrong? What if somebody is going on dating sites and having sex with 3 new people a day, every day, like clockwork? I had a friend who had sex with probably over 200 women in 1 year. Completely different friend. And that was just in 1 year. Probably has had over 1,000 partners in his life by the time he was not even 30. Is there an ethical problem with that? What if he never got anyone pregnant? What if he never passed any STDs? Is there an ethical dilemma there then? What if there was malice in it? What if the intent was simply to sow his seed or to have as many partners as possible? When it's fringy like that, it's very, very easy to say, well, I'm not sure if we should do anything. But for who? Is it to their benefit not to do anything? Is it to your benefit to not do anything? The motivation of the advice is important. What is the reason that a person is telling me that I should or should not do anything? So I told my friend, I so strongly disagree with your actions that yes, I am getting aggressive with you. And I think you should change because I feel it's important. And I care about you enough that I'm going to raise my voice about this matter. And if you get upset with me about it, so be it. I'd rather you not be my friend and hear my message loud and clear and let the weight of this loss compound the frustration and problem that you're already dealing with. I want the problem to be even heavier for you. All the more so that hoping you will change, that you'll stop doing what it is that you are doing. You will say, hey, okay, my actions and my inabilities are affecting the people around me now. And I should probably do something about it because as I lose these people around me, I am losing a bit of myself. I'm losing the happiness and the companionship of the friendship, losing that person to reach out to in time of need. I'm losing the benefits of that person, the ability to grow from them. Do no harm. I mean, when the intent is good and pure, and you really mean to do right by the people in your life, it should be done with the mantra of do no harm. There was no easier way to get that message across. I mean, the argument is that, you could speak softer and you could be more delicate about the manners, but what happens if you have been? Your friend who's an alcoholic, you say, hey, maybe just consider drinking a little bit less. Okay, yeah, sure, definitely. Hey man, I noticed that you're passed out again last night. Do you want to talk about it? Want to let me know what's going on? You want to vent? You want to maybe go for a jog or something this morning? Oh no, man, I'm good. It's just one drink led to another. What happens when you try the soft approach 10 or 20 times? You say, I'm only going to take this approach. Are you doing what's best for them, or are you doing what's easiest for you? It's really easy to keep your mouth shut. It's painfully easy to keep your mouth shut. It's incredibly hard to say something. Let's say you're engaging with a new partner. You meet someone new, and you kind of like them. And things are going well. And you're now sexually active. And then something happens. Maybe they do something that you find repugnant out in public. And it drastically changes the way you feel about that person. Now, the easy thing would be to say nothing. Especially when it's in your own self-interest. Maybe you really enjoy having sex with this person. Maybe the quality is better than anything you've ever had before. And you say, I'm just going to go ahead and continue to enjoy this because I can. And there's no repercussions for it. I'm not going to have any negative impact by continuing to enjoy this. And no one will say anything to me about it. But you're doing harm. You reap what you sow. But you're doing harm. You're causing harm to the other person by choosing not to say anything. You're allowing things to continue to play out in a way that ultimately will do damage. Eventually someone is going to get hurt. Now, do you enjoy it while it lasts? And say, I'm enjoying the companionship of my friend, even though they're an addict, even though they're doing something that I don't fundamentally agree with. I'm going to go ahead and keep them because their friendship is beneficial to me. And I believe that my friendship is beneficial to them. By choosing not to say anything, you're doing harm. And you're being selfish. And you're not doing the right thing. The right thing is to speak up. And say, hey, you gotta knock it off. I understand life can be hard, but you've got to knock it off. And it boils back down to how much respect do you have for yourself? Let's say that analogy with the sexual partner. Yeah, it might be great. And it might be the best you'll ever have for the rest of your life. But are you willing to compromise your, let's say, your moral values? They've done something that you morally object to. Are you willing to compromise your moral values in exchange for your own selfish needs? Or do you open your mouth, do the right thing, address the issue, say, hey, I fundamentally disagree with what you did back there. I find it to be disrespectful for these reasons. And I want to talk to you about it. And you take the hard path. And you take the risky path. Because maybe you do like some of the other things about this person. Maybe you are hopeful that you can fix them. We have these situations arise in relationships, like serious relationships. You've been with somebody for 6 months, and they do it. Do the terms change then? I mean, if somebody isn't willing to tell you something after a week or a month, what's the likelihood they're going to tell you after 6 months? Or a year? Or 6 years? At some point, our inability to communicate does a lot more damage than good. And we just have to learn how to eloquently put our foot in our mouth and be willing to risk it all for the benefit of those around us. To look at a friend and say, hey, you're being a bit of a fuck up right now, and I don't agree with what you're doing. Or to look at a new partner and say, hey, I kind of like you, but I fundamentally disagree with what you're doing. Or, hey, I can't continue to trade my happiness for yours. This relationship is more serving to you than it is to me. This friendship is more serving to you than it is to me. The defining of our friendship, relationship, whatever it may be, has changed based on your actions. Now, this is not to say in any way that we are infallible. Obviously, the speaker has her faults as well. I have my faults. I'm working through plenty, as we all should be, regularly. But that in itself isn't an excuse either. And oftentimes it'll be used as one. You'll hear oh, we all have our problems. We all have the stuff we're working through together. You've heard it. You know what I'm talking about. But that doesn't mean that we should all settle for, mediocrity. We should all continue to strive and push and become better. So I guess, full circle, what do? You open your mouth, is what you do. And you say what you have to say. And sure, you try and do it delicately. The first time, second time, third time, 5th time, 10th time. But at some point you have to say, you know what? I've been really soft to you for a long time, and guess what? It's not getting through. You're not listening to me. Do you respect me? Do you respect me as your friend? Do you respect me as your partner? You either respect me or you don't. If you do respect me, I shouldn't have to raise my voice. If you do respect me, I shouldn't have to be firm with you. If you do respect me, you should understand that I have your best intentions in mind. And that all things I say regarding you as an individual come from a place of love, with the intent to help you be a better person. Because I care so much about those around me that I am willing to put my foot in my mouth. I'm willing to jeopardize our friendship and our relationship in hopes that you can be a better person. One of the rules in the book that I was talking about earlier talks about how you should be championing your friends to be better And you should celebrate in their achievements. I have people in my life right now who don't celebrate in my achievements. They're full of jealousy. They really are. And I hope that I can help them change. I hope they can see the errors in their ways, and you know what's going to happen if I can't? I'm going to say goodbye to them. Because there are good people out there that are better suited to be my friend. That'll see the value proposition that I offer. And again, I am no saint. I'm no sliced bread. Okay? I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude who cares and is trying to live a good life. I'd love to hear your questions. And don't get me wrong, I'm not thinking that I'm some anything on these social issues. I just love talking about social topics. I love talking about interpersonal relationships. I love talking about traditional relationships. Boyfriends, girlfriends, husband, wives, fiancés, life partners, what have you. So if you have a question and you'd like my hot take on it, it can be everything from peace in the Middle East, Australia lockdowns, power dynamics, reselling, relations, return issues, whatever you have, feel free to leave them in the comments. I promise I'll answer them. And maybe we can do this again. So this video is coming up on 2 hours now. And originally this was going to be slated to be 4. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a break here after the photo time is done. It's going to be done here in about 15 minutes. And what I want you to do is go take a break, because it's going to have been about 2 hours. And if you haven't taken a break, you should. You should try and take a break every 2 hours. Get up, walk around, stretch your legs out. You know, if you have to continue to do something, maybe go make lunch, go make dinner right now. Go start on a project that's self-starting. Go start on laundry. Go move a load of laundry. Do whatever you're going to do, something in that effect. And think about something that you're challenged with right now. Something you're having trouble working through that you'd like an extra opinion on. And you can either leave it down in the comments, or you can visit the Bolorama website and you can submit in a request right there. Just send in a help request. It'll show up to my inbox if you'd like to leave a message anonymously. You don't have to leave any real personal details. It can all be fake. And I'll answer it on the next one. And we'll release this one first. If you're seeing this one, I don't know, anytime past January 2022, there's probably going to be a part 2. And then we're going to move from photography over to listing. And I'm going to talk with you about some of these items too, because I've sold, probably over $1,000 worth of the items so far. I've seen them come up and go as I'm doing this voiceover after the fact. Obviously, I'm not walking around speaking into a mic right now. I wish I had that level of multitasking. But let's listen to a little more music, and then I'll button things up here with some final thoughts. And to anyone who's listened this far, I appreciate you. I hope you've enjoyed my ramblings and my thoughts on life, and I want to make this clear too. I welcome any and all critique in the comments, but I'm trying something new. I'm trying something different. So just take that on board. That, it's real easy to do the same thing that other people are doing in this space, but the same reason I made the reseller roundup, the same reason I made my goofy training videos, so I wanted to do something new. And I don't know if this is going to be it. I'll tell you, after having that last little ramble, felt pretty good, that I might do, I might do some other rambly videos on very specific topics that I have a lot to say on. So maybe I can offer some guidance to someone, the hubris, so we'll see. Get back to work, and we'll take a break here shortly. Nothing makes me think of Christmas time more than hearing music with pianos in it. I don't know what it is. It's that holiday jingle, the step up of the notes across the keys that reminds me of the season to be giving. Merry Christmas to you guys. And happy holidays, not just happy holidays, because you know what? Some of us celebrate Christmas. And to you, Merry Christmas to you and your family and your loved ones and those closest to you. And then some of you celebrate holidays. And to you, happy holidays. And I'm not discounting one by celebrating the other. We are celebrating them all together. You know, that's a message that often gets lost, is the need for unity. Man, I haven't seen a push for unity in a long time. I haven't seen the idea of world peace being tossed around probably since before I was even born, but I remember hearing sputterings of it here and there. People who were trying to bring the world back together again. Man, wouldn't that be a lovely thing? Could you imagine what the world would be like in harmony? How much money would be saved on home security, police officers, and I don't know. Just the cost of security is so high. This is a great item right here. 5 puzzles, $129.99. These sold already, believe it or not. USPS ground shipping, $22.40 out the door. I had 2 different buyers interested in them. They were worth $40 each, so $200 worth of value. They would have cost me about $12 each to ship. So I said, you know what? Let's go in and lop off, some of that shipping. It would be 12 per at 5. That's $60 in shipping. Let's make it $129.99, and I'll get $10 towards the shipping. Split the difference with the buyer. Rather than getting greedy, I thought I would take that money. But I sped up this last part here. We're going to be coming up on almost 2 hours. It's time for a break. But yes, the holidays are here. This video took me probably close to 3 or 4 weeks to make. Between filming, editing, voiceovers, delays in my life. I had a lot going on. Boy, oh boy. The number of things that I could touch on, and I barely even scratched the surface on the footage that I have for this video. I probably have another 6 hours worth of footage for this video. Those of you who don't know, I did a really cool shoot with a buddy of mine named Jason Hand. Slick guy. Guy likes making money. He's my type of hustler. But just like myself, he needs a little push from time to time. We all do, though. It's not a slight at him. He is as good as they come. And we had a great long talk about all kinds of different social issues. Here, I'll tell you what, I'll jam a little sneak peek in right now. And you know what I was telling somebody is it's not a matter, and we were talking about this in chat. This is like my biggest takeaway from this whole thing, is that it's not a matter of I feel I'm worth $85,000 a year. I don't feel like my skills in those areas are worth that. I don't think it commands that at all. Okay, I think I'm a valuable asset to any company who wants to put a little time into me. But I was looking at the amount of freedom I was losing.
I bought out a Toys R Us. It's hilarious. I paid 1% of retail asking price. I could show you the receipt. It says like $10,000 and then 99% off, and it's the funniest thing ever. But part of that came with their back room and all their shipping boxes, so I got all of them. And I've used a fair amount.
Forget that, there is a core structure to life that 99.99% of people have to adhere to, which is waking up, getting clean, dressed, putting in a productive work day, taking care of your responsibilities, rinse, wash, repeat, and start over again. So I think a lot of people, especially within my age group, and I'm not just putting all of this on my previous partner, I just think it's an issue that I'm seeing happen broadly across the 20s, especially in the lower 20s. The kids who are...
Dumbs down people like a rev limiter. I was driving today, and happened to pass I think it was a high school on a main road, and you see a group of kids, 7 or 8 of them, as they're walking, they're all just staring down at their phones, walking on the sidewalk. And I've seriously questioned it, being able to, retard, as in, to set back the ability, skill sets that I would imagine you and I think are par for the course, to communicate, to articulate ideas and concepts, to ask for things, to say what you think and feel, to engage. And it's, that's tough.
Isn't that neat? Doesn't that look like a good time? Right now, because, come on, guys. We got to keep the damn lights on. If you want to watch that video and some other exclusive content we got, it's $5, okay? Sign up. You don't like it, cancel. Okay? Just give it a shot. You don't even need to talk to me. Visit the link, pay your $5, check it out, enjoy the entire talk. I want to do a talk every month with a different person. If you want to be that person, and you have views, and you want to have an intellectual back and forth with me, please challenge my ideas and thoughts on stuff. I'd love that. But for now, I hope you enjoyed that little excerpt, and I hope you'll jump in and watch the rest of it, because I think we went at it for maybe 2 hours or so, and that happened after this filming that you're watching right now. I did my photographs for the day, and then we had our call, and I had a couple other guest calls as well. You'll hear some of those on the next one of these if I feel like doing another one. It really boils down to, what do I feel like doing? I might come at it with a different approach, but you guys might say, Jay, that was really something. I really enjoyed working alongside you. Or you might say, you know what? That's not my jam, and I'm never going to watch another one again. Okay. Because not only do I want to make things that I enjoy, but I also want to make sure that someone is appreciating the art that is video production. Do things with quality, not just expeditiously. Get something good out there. It's another one of those Jordan rules. I'm chopping it up though. But yeah, it's important. Let's put good content out there. I want to make sure I put out stuff that you guys enjoy. So, with that said, thanks for watching. And I look forward to the next one. And it'll be fun. And stay safe out there this year. I don't think the holidays are going to get too crazy, but stay safe out there. And have a good one. And remember to put yourself number one. Sometimes during the holidays, we have a bad habit of prioritizing everything else except for ourselves. And we'll talk about that next time. We'll talk about self-care. It's really important. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, if you don't make that money, someone else will. Have a great day.